Check me out.
Yeah. Hello, podcast listening people. Really appreciate you tuning in. Do not forget to subscribe, leave a review before you leave today. Really helps us and helps to reach more people with this awesome information. So please do us that small favor before you take off. I have a great guest and a fantastic show for you today. Our guest is Delroy Gill, who was born and raised in London, moved here to the Mile High City, and has built an incredibly powerful brand for himself and for people around him. He is a luxury real estate expert, family man, founder of Denver Gents, a social club that gives back, and all around very inspiring human being. And I'm very excited to share his journey and his struggles and his story and his insights with you guys. Before we do that, before we get there, real quick, if you're interested in sponsoring the show, send us an email, milehighmentors@gmail.com, if you want to sponsor, collaborate, partner up in one way or another. It's something we're absolutely interested in. So again, milehighmentors@gmail.com, or you can just send us a message on social media. We love to hear from you guys. Also, if you sell high value or B2B products and services, you probably realize that LinkedIn is the platform to be and the platform to grow, but a lot of people don't know how to use it effectively. So our partners have a free resource for you. Our partners over at Active Blogs have a free training just for you. You can give that a watch at activeblogs.com/webinar. And you can take advantage of really what your competition is doing wrong on LinkedIn. It's a free training, The Missing Links to LinkedIn Success. Again, activeblogs.com/webinar. All right, folks, without further ado, please welcome Delroy Gill to the Mile High Mentors podcast. Well, dude, I'm very glad you are doing this, and I really appreciate it. I wanted to share your story. You're doing so much stuff, and your background is really interesting. And what I love, and part of what I want to focus on here is that you're an agent, right? You're a real estate agent, technically. That's your job. That's your full-time job.
Yes, my career and my full-time life revolves around real estate. Yes.
How many real estate agents would you guess are in Colorado?
It's about 20,000. Last time I checked, it was like 18 something. There's people going and getting their license all the time. So it's probably around 20,000 somewhere now.
Yeah. So guys, if you don't know Delroy, we'll share your story a little bit, but you've done such an amazing job of building your personal brand and being a leader in the community and really extending out the value you provide and like separating yourself from all, you said, 18, 20,000 other real estate agents out there, and you have your distinct niche market, Denver Gents, what you're doing. So like what kicked you off to realize that in the market you're in, where there's a lot of people, building your personal brand and like really differentiating yourself in the way that you have, like what kicked that off for you?
I've always, getting into real estate. Originally, there was a lot of agents, right? And I think I just came with a different mindset. I've always been an entrepreneur. I've come from London, so I kind of just see.
If you guys couldn't tell by the accent, he's not from Colorado.
If you understand me, Connor might have to put subtitles down at the bottom of it. But no, so I've always had kind of a different spin and an outlook of what it looks like to be myself and to do whatever I do. And then just kind of being in the industry. When I got in the industry, it was completely different than what it actually was today. It was the middle of the recession. Home prices were super low. People were losing their homes. So I kind of went through that entry into the marketplace and kind of use some of my knowledge of kind of doing marketing and online kind of pay-per-click, Google AdWords, that type of stuff to build a website and generate leads that way. And then was going through that process for some time. And then it ended up, the market started turning around. And then we get to the stage where we're now getting regular business come back. And that's when the regular business started come back around. That's when now everybody's jumping into the market, right? And I've got a few years under my belt at this point, like 3 years under my belt. So I'm like, I know my stuff, and I've survived through that. Didn't know.
You survived the recession of 08, 09.
Recession, exactly. So getting through there, it definitely gives you a thick skin when it comes to being a real estate agent and going through the trials and tribulations that come with that. And then coming through that, getting into regular real estate, now I'm like, okay, it's not the recession anymore. You're growing, and people are starting to kind of get to know me in the industry, started building up the referrals, and really was just kind of doing it, playing by ear at that point, just kind of doing the things that I like to do, but kind of doing them through real estate, like events. I used to do events and had a media company at one point. So, putting on events and creating experiences was cool for me. And I was like, that's a good way for me to be able to stay connected with my clients, and keep building up those relationships and getting to know them more. Because again, I've come from a completely different country. I didn't have tons and tons of people that I've gone to high school and college and, grown up with here. So how am I going to keep seeing these people and finding up and building this sphere of influence of people who I connect with? So events was really my thing. Started doing, yearly, quarterly, different types of events for my clients. And then from there, was really kind of building a brand. I think that was like a 5-year gig, total, building that up. Never really had a formal structure, or really wasn't specifically planned out, but knew kind of I was doing the right thing, but didn't have it formalized.
Well, you're really separate again, like a lot of real estate agents kind of market themselves out in similar way, right? They paste their face on everything and, hand out business cards, go to networking events and all this good stuff. You truly built a brand around yourself, like a real brand, and also like a sense of authority in high end, high class, complex real estate deals. Let's get to that in a second. Let me ask you this. So you're from London originally, right?
Yeah.
What point did you decide to move to the States? How long ago was that?
So I've been in America permanently now for 11 years.
Mm-hmm. And what made you decide to come out this way?
Family and my kids. I had been coming to Denver since 1998. So at that time, I was a really, just basically a city kid. Came to Colorado back in the early 2000s. It was a culture shock. As I did tell you, Connor, I'm at home. Somebody's knocking at my door. Come on in. I'm doing a podcast with Connor. You can just hang out in the background. One of my buddies is over. But so we ended up moving in. My family moved to Denver, and I was back and forth. And I was like, this is not my energy. This is not my pace. This is not my vibe. So I ended up just going back home, living in London, ended up getting married, had 2 kids, and being in London at that time, it was just like, now being in London is not my vibe anymore. Like, there's just too much going on, the schooling system, the crime, the traffic, the pollution, the tight roads, it was just a lot where I started appreciating at that point then what Colorado had to offer. So I brought my family out here and thought, hey, do you guys like it? I can live in America if you want. They loved it. So ended up just moving to America. But originally got my green card and stuff from my parents moving to Colorado for a job transfer. And then I ended up loving it and came and moved permanently 11 years ago.
What was what were your parents doing? Like, what was their career path?
My stepdad, he was in IT. So he did like IT consultancy. worked for like Visa and did some internet kind of. I don't even to this day know exactly. It was way too techy for me to tell you what it is.
Yeah. Well, Colorado's got a ton of data centers, all the space.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that's
exactly one of those data center things. Yeah.
I actually work with a lot of IT, and you know how you do like really high end real estate and like luxury real estate. I work with the high end and like complex businesses that do B2B. So I actually work with a lot of IT companies.
Okay. Yep. So you know exactly what I mean. Yeah, he was an IT and a consultant for a data center.
Who are some of your biggest influencers early in your life, like before the age of 18? Who are some major influencers for you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think early on in my life, this is not to say I'm the best person in the world or anything like that, but I really had no one, like, to be honest, in terms of like, who was I looking to? I want to be like that. Like, if I was to say anything, it would be like celebrities and stuff, to be honest. That was really, I didn't really have positive, like, role models and people around me that were doing things that were at a successful business level. Like, I even to this day, like, if I look at people back home and where I'm from, I probably could count on one hand if I was to say, like, now, 20 years later, from everyone who's successful, it's probably less than 5 people.
Really? So you were more indirectly influenced by people that you saw in media, celebrities. Were you watching other entrepreneurs, or was it really mostly like TV celebrities and
Well, again, like, my idea and everything that I had in terms of like entrepreneurship was either from people that was doing stuff that wasn't the right type of entrepreneurship that you want to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Or
what do you mean by that? Expand on that a little bit.
Like people doing criminal activities, like that they were successful, but not the road you want to go down. So there was either that, or there was like Jay-Z or P. Diddy. Like that was the two roads I had. And I'm like, all right, there is some way to make a successful living in a legal fashion down that road. And those were, like, some people listened to their music and were like, man, they're good. Like, I actually was studying their moves and like their mindset and how they were like making people feel and how they were like controlling their environment. Like, I studied actually what they were doing and like their mindset to get to where they're at. Like, I looked at them in a different way, I think, than most people. And I would probably even listen to their music differently than a lot of people.
Right. Dude, that's so interesting, because I mean, that's part of the premise of this too, is like, you don't have to directly be mentored by somebody to get that influence or get that roadmap, right?
Yeah.
If you can follow and duplicate and realize how to take action on what other people have done, you can create an incredible life like what you've done, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta I'm thankful that I had like a burning desire that I didn't know to do what I was doing. Like, sometimes it is key to have a mentor, or if you don't, you just have to know exactly what you want, and you've got to be able to do exactly what you need to do to get it. And if you don't know what it is that you need to do, you need to be able to figure it out by yourself alone, which actually takes longer to do. Like, now the information that I know, it's actually very easy to accomplish what I've accomplished now, knowing what I know. You just have to do it a lot sooner. That's all you can do. Right. I'll just do it way sooner.
But did you always have that burning passion very early on? Like, did you know at a young age, I'm going to be successful? Or was there a transition in your life that like lit that fire for you?
No, I always knew from probably I knew I was going to be, and we're saying successful here, right? Let's just be really careful with our words, because I'm successful in my own right, but have I reached the pinnacle or what God has planned for me in the level of success that I'm trying to achieve? Nowhere even close to it. I'm very humble in my success and not taking it for granted what I have. But again, you get to learn more and see new things. And like, if I actually wrote this Facebook post and like had to take a minute to be thankful and appreciate my success. But like, if I spoke to the Delroy that was 21, 22 years old, I'm living his dream right now, you know, but that was, you know, almost 15 years ago.
Right.
Like, I'm already surpassed those dreams and I'm thinking of in a completely new environment and way of living and lifestyle and levels of success. But yes, if I'm talking to the 20-year-old Delroy, man, I made it. Like, we did it, you know, from a mindset standpoint. But yeah, from when I was probably like 7 years old, I knew I was going to be successful. From when I was 12 to 13 years old, I started implementing right away.
Isn't that the funny thing about success? And a lot of successful people I've interviewed and talked to is you have that vision in your mind of like, oh, that's the tippy top. I make it, right? That's when I know I made it. 21-year-old me, that's all he needs in life. And then you reach that point and you're like, this is it. It's like, right. There's more out of me. Like, I can get so much more.
Yeah. I normally, I don't even get to once I mentally know that I'm capable of achieving it, I've already scrapped that whole dream and I'm on to the next dream. Like,
right.
As soon as I'm like close to it, I'm like, it's over. Like, I don't even care if I get it anymore. Like, I love the journey. That's my whole thing, is like, I don't actually care about the end result. Like, it's cool to get there, but it's everything that you have to learn and do in between to achieve whatever it is you're trying to achieve is what actually keeps me going and what actually motivates me. And that's actually the fun part to me, is like coming up with a thing in your head and saying like, I'm going to do it. Like, even this house I'm in my own house. This house right now, this exact house was on a vision board like 3 years ago. And at that time, I had no idea how I was going to afford that house. Like, literally no idea. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get this house. We had a budget. We had a plan of what we're going to buy. And then 3 years later, I'm sitting in the house right now.
So is vision board, like, is that something that you've done a lot over the years? I would say I've very intentionally done it and followed it and lived it through twice, 2 times. Not to say I want to do it more. It's just obviously time. There's so many things. I'm going to do it. I have a mini one that I just do some pictures on. I always have some form of paper or written or something, affirmation. Writing your goals down.
Yeah, writing down. I always have something on paper, but the vision board that had this house on was like, it had everything that me and my family had been trying to achieve for a long time. We was like, look, let's just put it down. My wife had stuff on there. My kids had stuff on there. And we literally got every single thing accomplished on the board except for one item. And that was buying an Aston Martin DB9, which I didn't buy, not because of affordability. It's just I chose something to do something else with the money, which was buy this house. Yeah,
interesting. That's interesting. So what, like, if you were to go back and talk to your 21-year-old self at this point, what would you tell them differently in terms of setting goals, knowing what you know now, and accomplishing what you have accomplished so far?
I would probably tell him to not dig so deeply into research. Sometimes do it and research as you're going. Research along the way.
Don't overthink the goal, the end goal. You mean like, how am I going to accomplish this?
Yeah, or just not thinking that you need to. The right time is going to happen. The right timing. I would used to always think like, now, is it the right time? You know, is it not the right time? You know, I know it's going to happen, but sometimes I second guess the timing of when it's supposed to happen. And now, like with this house and a lot of different things, I just let timing happen. I just go all the time. Just go. What I need to know, I'll learn it on the way. And stuff is happening way quicker for me now. Before I used to like, I'm going to do that. But before I do that, I need to do this. I need to get this done. I need to do this. And I used to just waste time, really. And that's what held me back. Like now I try, we still waste time. All of us waste time. If you if you don't waste time, you're lying to yourself. But we all do something that's too much. So, I work on those things. Like I just work to eliminate any type of distractions and just get better and better.
When you've got how many kids now?
I've got 3 kids and a wife.
Got 3 kids and a wife, right? So like you can't waste time, right?
Right, exactly. The more kids I had, the less time I started wasting.
I'm sure.
Exactly. That's another thing. So if you want to be successful, just have a bunch of kids. We'll start.
No. Although I get it because I'm a younger bachelor dude, and like I can definitely see where I have more free time compared to my other entrepreneur friends that have 5, 6 kids. Like time just means something very different, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is with time, like everybody says, like time is money. You can't buy time back. Don't waste time. All those things that we know about time.
Right. The
thing is, until you give yourself the responsibility to fill the time, you'll waste it. Like you 100% will, unless you have, and that's what sometimes if you're, let's say when I was a bachelor, like, yeah, you've got a plan, but you think like you can get there whenever because you think at the time like, oh, I've got time. So you don't, value it as much. Whereas now I know there's no way if I wanted to say this week, every night, I'm just going to like hang out with my friends and then sometimes I'll be doing my work and blah, blah. No, because I know I have to value some time with my family. And then the time I'm not with my family, I've got to get work done. So I have to really be super laser focused when I'm working and then super laser focused when I'm with my family as well. I can't just fluff around and waste time in between because one of the two would sacrifice.
Right. Do you do any sort of practices to help with that focus, like meditation or anything like that?
Yeah, I meditate like at least minimum 4 times a week. I try and do it every single day.
Uh-huh.
But like every morning for a minimum of 10 to 20 minutes.
Really?
I'll just go on YouTube, type in 20-minute meditation. It's when I wake up in the morning, I'll put my headphones on, I'll look out the window, close my eyes, relax. And just sit down and listen. And it'll be like a guided meditation. I prefer guided meditation. So it actually like tells you what to do, focus on your breathing, sit down, then it might go through some affirmations with you. But yeah, that definitely helps me a lot because sometimes like I have so many thoughts and things that I want to accomplish in my head that sometimes I get a headache. Like,
right.
It sometimes gets overwhelming or I can't sleep. Like I'll be like up just thinking about all the different things that I need to achieve and what I need to do tomorrow. I'll end up just start working in the middle of the night. But I know if I meditate, exercise, read, and do those things that like basically calm my mental state down and then able to actually have me release it all onto paper and pen, then I have a more productive day.
How long have you been doing that for?
I've probably been doing that for about 2.5 years now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, about 2.5 years.
You've noticed a big difference from doing that before or not doing that before? There's
no way that I could do everything that I'm doing now without doing that. I would get overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think a lot of people underestimate that. Being able to center yourself. I mean, I really love talking to you because you're so self-aware of yourself. Like you're a very humble guy. And I think something that's shifted in our generation compared to a lot of the boomers and our parents' generation really is having that balance. Like you bring your family out to events and bring them out networking and you're meditating and you have financial success from the outside looking in. I don't know what your bank account looks like. Your house might be your entire bank account for all I know. Because dang, that thing is a maze. That thing is a maze, bro. But what's your perspective on? This is a big professional buzz term, but like, what's your perspective on work-life balance?
Oh man, it's probably I don't know. I work towards it. I think there's a it's like a mortgage. Like work life is like a mortgage.
Of course, you have to relay it to a mortgage.
I got bring it back. Well, as long as it's because you're paying it down, right? And the more, like, you can build up that equity of family and work balance. The more time I put into business, at first it's a struggle, right? To do it. The more and more that you build your business to an extent to where, like, I was the person that would go after every single deal, every single time, no matter where it was, what time of the day it was. Like, if somebody called me at 1 a.m. in the morning and said they wanted to buy a house and they wanted to see it, I would say, babe, I gotta go show a house real quick. I'll be right back. Like, literally, that would be me. And it could be in like 15 miles away. I'll drive because I was just that hard of a hustler to go and do it. If my phone rings at 1 a.m. today, I'm not picking it up. Like,
have you found more success, financial, time success, well-being success by not going and pursuing those at 1 a.m. or constantly answering your phone? Like, what has that changed your success in any way?
So what happens is, you get people now that have the same values and moral compass as yourself, right? So now the person that's calling you at 1 a.m., you think they're going to be an easygoing person. No, they're not. That's the reason they're calling you at 1 a.m. You picking up the phone is giving them the authority to do that. And if you don't do that again in the future, they're going to think you're a bad person. Whereas now, my clients would never do that to me because they are at the same level and respect. You know, I'll tell them I'm having a family time right now, whatever it may be, even if it's during the day. So what happens is you build up a better clientele. Into better being, that's what I prefer. And not to say they're better people. I'm just saying they're more along the lines that I want to work towards. And what that does is alleviate more time on my hands to do other things. And then over time, if you build that up now, you're going to get more of that business. So I'm doing the same amount of business and more, but I'm working less because the same client is not calling me 15 times. That same client is now calling me twice. They trust me, I trust them, and they're way more calm. So I'm getting to do the same or if not more business with way less hours put in, which allows me to have the time of doing other things like Denver Gents, like my social media, and like branding myself even on a bigger scale, to be able to get into the luxury market again, which is less time, more money.
Higher quality people. So setting that standard for yourself has helped you, make more money, have more time, and work with higher value clients.
100%, yes.
So if you were, again, like to go back to the 21-year-old you, I'm turning 25 on Saturday. I find myself chasing, just trying to hustle, right? Because I don't have a family. Like, I can answer the phone at 1 a.m. Would you go back and would you still kind of pursue things that way with that same hustle?
I would, but I would do it for a shorter amount of time. Again, it's about that compression now. I see life as how can you compress things into shorter hours and, finding ways of compressing to get to the success. So yes, because you need to know, like, I know today if the market changed or if, I don't know, my company that I'm partnered with, Sotheby's, which would never happen, but let's just say they completely went bankrupt and collapsed as a company and I had to go out and figure it out. I know I'm comforted to know that I can go at 1 a.m. if I need to.
Right.
I know I can hustle. So whether there's new guys coming into business, like you said, there's 20,000 agents now. I know that you think you're good, but I know what I went through and I see what you're doing. That's the difference. I can see when somebody's putting in that workload. You can see it visually because I've been there. I know what it looks like physically, mentally, emotionally. I know exactly what it looks like when I see somebody on their superior, highest level of hustle. I know what it looks like inside and out. Mm-hmm. So you have to do that just to test yourself when you're an entrepreneur, to know you can go to the extremities to survive, because entrepreneur at the beginning, when you're building your business, is a survival. Like, it's
right
to survive. There's ups, there's downs. Are you going to be able
especially real estate, right? Because you can make a fat commission check and be, struggling for the next 6 months.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. You can, people all the time, you could get a check. And sometimes you think you could get checks for 3-4 months, big checks. And then for 6 months, you could get no checks. And you think in that 4-month run that you're going to keep getting those checks. Sometimes you spent that money's now disappeared. And then now you're like, what am I doing? And you have to be able to go through that cycle and be able to live through it. So you have to go through it, I think, to build up that thick skin, because you're going to have just higher level problems to deal with. And that thick skin is going to take you through those issues as well. And you're going to be able to walk in a room of confidence. Like, I can walk into any real estate room and I can talk the talk with, I don't know, a billionaire or somebody that's got $2, because I've been on both sides of the coin. So to me, it's an advantage.
Yeah. How long did you start building your real estate career, like, till you really started to see the upsides of it, like a consistent, like, oh, I can build a life in this? Was it, within a year? Did it take a long time?
I was pretty consistent out the gate. Did like 13 transactions my first year. And that just and
you didn't start in the luxury market. So
no. This is dumps. This is complete dumps in terms of people had no money, no upgrades. This is people almost getting kicked out on the street, foreclosure. This is the lowest of the low market. Like, when they say they start from the bottom, yes, that was me. Like, the lowest portion of real estate that you could start in, that's where I started in terms of the market. But did about 13 deals, I think, my first year. And in terms of, like you said, 20,000.
That's pretty damn good, though, still for your first year.
That's good. So to give the viewership some context, the average out of these 20,000 real estate agents that there are, 80% of those agents, so like, 17,000 of them, 18,000 of them do maybe 3 transactions per year. So in my first year, I was already in the top 20% of real estate, maybe even in the top 15, 10%, and then just kept building from there. I had a consistent, 10 to 20 transactions for about a good 4 to 5 year span. In the last, like what you see, Connor, and just so the viewership knows, I've only met, how long ago have we met? Maybe not even a year yet, maybe a year, maybe less than a year, right? We've met each other. And like some people are getting introduced to me now and might think that this is, how it's been forever. You're an entrepreneur, so there was a backstory and a grind. But my level of marketing, branding, and where I'm at transactionally, which is almost basically 40 transactions a year now, hoping to hit 50 this year. But
that's awesome. That's awesome, man.
Only been in the last 2 years. This has only been the last 2 years. I only just joined with Sotheby's, my company I'm with now, just over a year ago. So I'm new in the luxury space. It's just that because I've done the grit and the grind so long, and I know how to implement all the pieces of the puzzle, and I'm focused on compression, I just went super hard right away and created the brand and started getting the deals right out the gate, which was completely different than probably what a lot of other agents did.
Yeah. Isn't that funny that people would maybe call you an overnight success or see the status you're at, but they don't know the years and years and years that go into it. I think that's a challenge with social media too. That's where a lot of depression is coming from. I want to encourage people, like when you see people like Delroy on social media, taking pictures next to like Lamborghinis and like these beautiful, luxury homes and your videos. That was a lot of freaking work that went into that. Years and years of taking calls at 1 a.m.
Yes, years. Like not seeing my family, 15-hour days.
Yeah.
On the road all day, in the office all night. Like the grind was a serious grind. Not knowing how you're gonna pay your bills because you don't know when the next check's coming. All of that. I lived through all of it. All the stereotypical crap that goes through building a business or coming from humble beginnings. Like we all know the stories. That's my story's no different. It's just you gotta push, you gotta grind through it. And all this what people are seeing has only happened in the last couple of years. And I've been basically pushing for this type of success for 13 years. This is a 13-year run of now coming to fruition to where it's at today. Yeah,
well, you're the real deal. I mean, that's awesome. Where do you think the real estate market's going to go now? We've been in the longest term bull market in the history of I think ever, the longest bull market, I believe.
Yeah.
We just had a correction recently. Like, what do you think is going to happen in the next 24 or 48 months?
In the next 1 to 2 years, it's difficult to say, man, because like you said, we have had a serious run on the market right now in Denver, specifically locally here. It's been nuts, like completely.
Well, dude, they just built another unit across the street over here. They built it probably 6-7 months ago, and I think it's still only at 40% capacity.
Yeah.
So we had this big flux of people moving here, and then a dip, but may happen again.
And that's what people are waiting for. And because right now we're in like midterm elections, we just had that pullback on Wall Street, inventory increase in the market. There's a lot of things that's kind of the perfect storm right now for it to pull back a lot. In a couple of months with people's short attention spans, when this all dies down and it comes back to March again, is everything going to pick back up? That's really when we'll see if this is an actual pullback or not. But definitely the numbers right now are showing that there is a slowdown within the real estate market here locally in Denver. But that's good for the home buyer though, right? Yes. On the buy side is good. So for instance, I just got a guy under contract yesterday. There was a house that was sitting on the market for a week that was below $400,000. It was $380,000. And he just randomly called me and said, "Hey, I want to buy that house." I was like, "Okay, cool. Let's go see it." And we bought it. But the thing is even if that scenario was maybe 30 days ago, that house would already be sold in one day, 1 hour. So again, when I say a slowdown and there's a shift and there's a pullback and all these types of words, people need to really realize that going from 1 day to 1 week is a massive increase when you look at percentages, like what's the increase in days on the market. But when you actually look at it in reality, houses still selling within a month is the very strong seller's market as well. So everyone's like pushing towards it being a buyer's market, but it's not. It's getting to 50-50. It's an even playing field. But it's not anything that either side should be jumping for joy for right now. It's just leveling out. It's not leaning towards any direction. It's leaning towards the buy side because of how the direction is going in. But did the price go down? That would be, to me, leaning towards the buy side. Prices haven't gone down. Prices. Oh, I'm sure. Stuff's slowing down in the time frame it's selling. And it's only from 1 day to a week or 30 days at the most, unless we're talking about the luxury market, which is a whole different animal in itself. But the luxury market in Colorado probably stays pretty much like that. Or that's just a guess, but... No, it does. Actually, the luxury market, when it comes to market shift and pullbacks and stuff like that, that market actually feels it first. So when you start seeing a lot of those homes on the market and they're not moving, because normally people that have a lot of money know a lot about money. So if they start sensing things, they'll start doing it before the general public know what's going on. You know, they start tightening up with their money, waiting to see what's going to happen based on rules and regulations. But again, in all markets, things are happening. Houses are selling, regardless whether it's the recession. There was houses selling, whether it's a seller's market or buyer's market. Houses are getting sold, and I'm going to be selling them.
Yeah, well, it's crazy to watch here, just being in this ecosystem. Like, I grew up in Colorado. I've been all over the world, but I grew up in Colorado, and like the explosion, I can't imagine where we're going to be in the next 10 years, even from where we've been in the last 10 years. I mean, I live downtown, and everything behind me was a field, empty field.
Yeah.
So I think we'll still do this. You know, we might crash at some point, but, you know, I'm not in real estate right now. But
here's the thing for buyers to be aware of, though, because I think sometimes people get in this mindset of, oh, I'm going to wait until the market crashes, right?
Right.
So if you're a home buyer and you're going to buy a house to live in, and it's your home that you want to live in, 5 years, maybe you'll live there as average 5 years, maybe even 10 years. I know that sounds like a long time, but it's really not, especially once you get a little bit older. But 5 to 8 years, let's just say. If you are waiting for the market to crash to buy a house, I'll give you an example. I have clients that thought that they knew about money 4 years, 5 years ago, were like, oh no, the market's going to crash. I'm going to wait until the market crashes and then I'm going to buy a house. This was 4 years ago. Okay. They went out and rented and they're like, yeah, we'll buy when the market crashes. So now we're here going on 5 years later, market has continued to go up. And now they're like, houses are too expensive, way too expensive to buy. And I'm like, yeah, well, they were super cheap back then when you could have bought. Now they're up. Now the interest rates are up. That's one thing. You've missed out on the opportunity, right? The other thing is biting the bullet. So you want to buy today and you're like, wow, the prices are so high. I'm just going to wait. I don't want to buy right now. I'm going to wait until the market crashes. Okay, let's say market starts turning. Market turns. We got like 3 years, market's going down. There's a 3-year run. It goes down. Whatever, now we're at a crashed market again, okay? So if you add up all your rent that you paid while it's going up for the next 3 years and waiting for that time for the market to crash, and then you pay that interest rate of that day based on that value, if you add up those numbers of all your rent you paid and your new interest rate versus buying today, I guarantee you would have spent more money waiting than you would if you just buy today. And the difference being, if you just buy today and then that recession happens and it comes and it's 3-4 years and it lasts for that amount of time. I am a walking example of this. When I bought my other house that I owned, I bought it in 2007, which was the very top of the market. The very next year, 2008, the market crashed, went through the years of recession. I purchased that house for $230,000, lived in it. It was the home that I loved. I remodeled it. I lived there, went through the recession. The house price went down to almost $180,000. So I lost almost 50 grand of equity, but I just paid my mortgage every month and just continued living there. Recession came. I refinanced my house to a lower interest rate one time, and then the market started coming back. Whoa, imagine that. Market came back. Market starts coming back. And then the same house that I paid $230,000 for is now today worth $425,000. So I'm all right with that. Like, I'm cool. I'm cool doing that. So everyone that's thinking about waiting, you're going to wait and miss out on your opportunity. Just buy and hold it throughout the recession, or just end up waiting out and missing out on opportunity. You got two choices. If you wait until the market, unless you're buying cash, that is the only time that the market fluctuation actually matters to you. If you're paying fully liquid cash, then when the market's low and you're paying liquid cash for that property, then you got a good deal, right? If you're not, and you're going to live there forever and it's your primary home and you're not investing and renting, you're not an investor. Stop looking at the market from an investment standpoint. It doesn't make any sense.
It's your home. A really good book I love on that concept. No matter what, the market's going to crack. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go up. No matter what. In the history of everything works that way.
Yeah.
Everything. Unshakable by Tony Robbins. Have you read his book? Yeah. I really liked how he kind of painted that picture of the market. It's like so many people get scared and they end up losing more money.
Yes.
You imagine if you would have gone and sold when you dipped back and lost 50 grand on your house and panicked instead of holding it, and you doubled your value.
Patience is key when it comes to any type of investing.
Do you invest in other key areas besides real estate?
I do a little bit in the stock market, and I do.
Please don't say Bitcoin. Please don't say.
I do crypto as well.
Oh no! Oh no! All right.
I got crypto. I'm a buying all of it. I got patience, man. I'm a buy and hold. I'm still up to this day on my crypto purchase. So.
Oh, I'm sure you are. I'll refer you to a podcast I really like on the markets from Peter Schiff. Do you know Peter Schiff?
No.
Yeah, you'd like his stuff. So before we kind of part ways here, how did Denver Gents come to be, and what's your ultimate vision with that? Because that's your other main thing, right? Like it's kind of a business, but more of a like a marketing tool for you as well.
So Denver Gents. So we'll start to what it is today, and then we'll kind of backtrack. But Denver Gents is a pin on. So all of the gents wear these.
I had to.
Pins. If I had my blazer on right now, you'd see my pin too.
Just stick it to your neck or put it in your beard or something.
Tattooed.
Yeah, there you go.
But
you got some like diamond earrings, right? Some DG.
Denver Gents is a charity where it's a men's organization, like a men's social club, where we all get together for the purpose of creating impact in the community through style. So we get dressed up, we hang out, we conduct ourselves as gentlemen, do gentleman activities, wear suits. But we give money to kids and educate kids on finance, on bank accounts. We work with a partner called the PBLA, Porter Billups Foundation, and they have a massive operation that they're running that we're just trying to help those guys grow as big as they can. And
they're local to Colorado?
Yes, they're local to Colorado. The campus that they have is at Regis University. They house about 220 kids per year. It's a 6-week program. And just so you know, this is just to give you an insight to the impact that they're having, is the local rate of high school graduation, I think, is at like 64% or maybe even lower versus what they're doing. And that's for at-risk youth. I think it's 30%. They have a 100% high school graduation rate for anyone that completes their program.
Wow. How'd you get involved with these guys?
So that charity So I shop at this place that I'm addicted to called Suit Supply in Cherry Creek. If you're local to Denver, you might know it. If not, you can go by there.
And there's some great guys that work over there too.
Great guys that work there. A lot of them are a part of the Denver Gents as well. But they had, they see everyone from every walk of life going in there and buying suits. One of the guys that came by there was Lonnie Porter, who was the original founder of the charity. I had been brainstorming with those guys about, us being a charity, collecting funds, and then what are we going to do with this money and how are we going to impact? And they, suggested partnering with him, set up a meeting. And then we kind of went from there. So that's how we got connected with it and what it is today. How it started was completely random and 100% not planned at all. It started as an Instagram page. Basically, it was a page that I was just going to use solely to further my business at first. of my personal brand. Not even, it was to do with real estate, but really it was an approach on my personal branding stuff. And I was just, as I said, I do research, I ask questions, but now I do. So I just saw some stuff, I did it. And then I was just learning that a lot of the big social media accounts, guys that had 200,000 followers that were either a fashion influencer online or a real estate agent with 50,000 followers, I would see their accounts pop up and a picture of them on like these accounts that had like 1 million followers, like men's fashion or luxury homes, and then I would see one of their listings pop up and it would say like follow this guy, but on the rest of the pictures it would never say follow. It's like, that's weird. I wonder. So I messaged the guy and he's like, yeah, I control that account. So basically they were getting these random accounts that had no branding to themselves personally, building up the following on those pages and pushing that traffic of those followers to their personal pages slowly but surely. So that was kind of my initial thought with this thing. I'm going to set up a page. Everyone that's into fashion, I'm into fashion, and then I'll have them follow my personal page. Built it up, didn't really tell anyone it was me. And then we started to get a little bit of a following. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking like 60 followers. Like this was way low at the time. So 60 followers. And then we got a message from a guy. Nobody knows it's me controlling the account. This random account just says, hey, would you guys like to come by my restaurant? I see everyone on the page is from Denver and you guys wearing suits. We'd like to have you at the restaurant. So I'm like, cool, this is good. So I'm like, yeah, we're going to go to the restaurant. I'm thinking of it from an event standpoint, like experience. We'll go there. I'll tell everyone it's me that's doing the page. And then like, I don't even know what's going to happen from there, but that's what we're going to do. So I set up an Eventbrite. It's like he wanted like 10 to 15 people to come by the restaurant, send it out to like 20 people, do events, send it to 20, 10, 15 will show up. Send it out in a couple of days, 30 people had registered. Next week, 60 people. Next week, 90 people. So we planned it out 3 weeks in advance. The day of the event, there was 160 people registered to attend this event, and about 80 or 90 men showed up in suits to this restaurant. So that was really the birth of the Denver Gents. We got there. I told people it was me. And then my buddy Stuart had been like, I'm like, bro, this is too much. Like, I didn't even know this was going to be a thing. It's way too many pictures for me to be posting now. People are starting to tag us and do this. So he starts kind of helping me control the page. He posts 1 week, I post 1 week. And then everyone's like, when's the next event? Like, when are we doing this again? And I was like, man, this is cool. Like, I enjoyed myself, but I don't want to just like walk around town with a bunch of dudes dressed up like for no reason. Like, what's the reasoning? Like, why are we doing this? Like, because I didn't plan what I was doing for this. This is something completely new. And I was like, I can do this and create these events and these experiences. But I think because we're doing it, and most of the people that were attending were entrepreneurs, so I know they're doing something positive. Like, so I was like, well, let's charge them for a membership fee, and we'll get all of that money and just give it to charity. So we had our next event was planned at this super like exclusive place in Denver on the top of like in England, if you're watching, like Big Ben, this clock tower. And then we were inside the head of.
Was that the Clock Tower Cabaret downtown?
Yes, it is, but the cabaret is in the basement.
Ah, I see.
We were actually in the clock head. So the clock faces were like our backdrop inside the space. So it's upstairs on the top floor. And the reason we ended up getting that space, we got it for free because my partner Stuart was actually listing the clock tower for sale. So it was up for sale. And then so we got that space for free. They wanted some promotion and marketing for the space. It was like, perfect, we'll have the event here. Did a really cool kind of theme around it. It was like real kind of speakeasy. You needed a password to enter. We had a guard at the gate, and you went up in this gold elevator, and then boom, you were hit with kind of the event. At that event, it's a smaller space, so we could only house about 60 people there. Obviously, we were at capacity, and then we just basically printed up, not handwritten, but like we just created these like order forms for this package of like membership that you could sign up. And we said, we're going to have 60 people. We'll bring 40 forms. Maybe half will sign up, 40 people sign up at the most. Like, we'll bring these forms. Brought the forms with us, had a good time, announced everything. Hey, you want to keep doing this? It's $150 to be a member. We've got these order forms. If you want to sign up, greatly appreciate it. We're going to be giving the money to charity. And do you want to be a part of this? Like, the forms went like that. Boom. Every single form was gone. The people that didn't get forms went online and signed up. Like, it was just like instant. Every single time we've done everything like that. Our gents are so passionate about what we're doing. They are so like excited about the experiences. They're so into giving back to the community.
Right.
So,
and it is a great community. I've never had a negative interaction with anybody in that group. Everyone's very humble, like
super
caring, entrepreneurial. So you really somehow struck a nerve and like hit an unmet need. It's so funny. I haven't told you this before, but I found the page on Instagram, obviously just doing what I do with Mile High Mentors and all that. I started to realize that entrepreneurs my age and your age, I mean, entrepreneurs, business leaders, they don't dress up anymore like we used to, right? There's not that like who walks around with a, pocket handkerchief and like a sports coat every day anymore who's 25 years old? Nobody.
Yeah, no.
So I'm like, I'm going to do the opposite. And it's funny, the very beginning of this year, Delroy, like the beginning of 2018, I said, I'm going to wear a sports coat every single day I'm in business, every day. My income's doubled this year.
Nice.
Income's doubled this year. And, I've been more drawn in to interacting with other like higher end people, not in a bad way, but
definitely. There was like in the last 3 years, and I saw the same thing too, like in real estate. I was like, there's like a real estate uniform, which is like a dress shirt and jeans or slacks and like maybe a sport coat if they're like going to a high-end listing, maybe. No one hardly wore a tie. No one had like a suit that was even tailored or wore full suits all the time. And that was one of my things too. I did the exact same thing. I was like, I'm going to take it up one notch because I like it anyway.
Yeah. And
it's like a communication tool. Like, you see our page, and if you're into that, we're already communicating in the same language.
Right.
Like, we know that it's an effort. Like, it's a little bit of an effort to do it. So it's easy for people to like throw on jeans, t-shirt, and a baseball cap and some sneakers. Like, I used to do that all the time. Like, now it's hard for me not to like dress up in a way. Like, this is me casual. I'm wearing jeans today, if you could see, but like, when I'm wearing a turtleneck, jeans, I'm wearing loafers and a blazer or some type of nice jacket, you stand out, you communicate to people, and people can just be like, what is that guy doing? Who does he work with? Why is he dressed like that? Like, it's a communication tool.
Exactly.
And it's not a negative one. That's the thing, is it's not like nobody, especially me, like I'm dressed that way, and then I'm listening to like Jay-Z in my car driving with the top down.
Yeah.
People look at me like, who is this guy? Like, what? He's in a suit. He's got the music so loud.
Well, and it gives you an extra level of confidence, and again, it attracts a different type of crowd to you.
Totally.
That's one of the biggest things I noticed. I was never into fashion. Like, if you ask anybody, I'm probably the least fashionable. Like, I was skateboard, punk, like back in my early days, and wearing, mostly button-down shirts was as advanced as I would get.
Yeah.
I started, just at least, I'm like, I'm going to do sports coats, I'll do that for a while and evolve from there. Now, I love it. Like, I'll see something show up in my newsfeed. I'm like, oh shit, I need that pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
Badass. I would have never been like that a year ago.
Once you get into it, it's addictive. And especially when you get around like our group, no one is in our group like, oh, you're not dressed enough, kind of. They're not that mindset, but you get inspired. Like you come to the group and you're like, damn, that guy is dressed.
Yeah, got guys with like feathers in their hats, and like
you're like, damn, I might try that next time. It's like, yeah, you go to this store and you get this, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. I'm gonna go and try that next time. So yeah,
I don't know, dude. If you start seeing me in those hats, I couldn't pull it off. Not me personally, but
that's what you say until you do it.
That's true. That's true.
I used to be the guy, bro. I'm telling you. Even me, I was like, there is no way I'm wearing like my dress pants like short with like the ankle part showing, and that. I was like, nah, I can't do it. I need like the leg all the way down to the shoe. Now, oh, bro, I'm all the way, everything.
You're wearing your ankles hanging out.
Hanging out. I gave it a name. I even labeled it's called ankle cleavage. It's the new. That's what I'm saying.
I like it, man. I'm gonna start using that. We should start the hashtag ankle cleavage on all of any
posts.
Yeah. So if you're in the Denver Gents group and you get like a nice shot with your ankle hanging out, hashtag ankle cleavage. We're gonna get this thing rolling.
2019, the new campaign.
Dude, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you. I know you're very busy. You got a family, you're working. I really appreciate you giving me the time, Delroy. How can people find you? How can people get into contact with you?
Yeah, everything I have is Delroy Gill, just my first and last name. Instagram, Delroy Gill. Facebook, Delroy Gill. My website, Delroy Gill.
Guys, thanks for listening. As always, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. We'll chat with you next time.